Glad you could make it today. Good to see you, my friends. I'm Tim, your good friend, and a guide through the Bible this year. Our reading for today is in Lamentations, chapter 3 to 5. Lamentations is written in a unique way. It's actually has 5 chapters, but each of the chapters are a poem, and it's a poem with a special format. Each verse begins with successive letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Verse 1 begins with the letter Aleph, and verse 2 with Beth, and verse 3 with Gimel, etc., through the entire alphabet. But chapter 3 adds another level of difficulty by tripling that. In chapter 3, the first 3 verses begin with Aleph, and then the next 3 verses begins with Beth. And that's how that chapter is formatted, the most difficult of all. But Lamentations is a very sad funeral song for a city, the city of Jerusalem. It was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC, and Jeremiah, the prophet, had been an eyewitness of everything that happened. The siege that lasted for 2 years, people starving within the city, and then the Babylonians coming through the walls and killing those who were there and taking others captive. He'd seen it all. And Jerusalem was now just a smoldering heap of rubble. And as he surveys everything around him and what's left, he's reduced to tears as he writes. And what he writes is the book of Lamentations. Lamentations 3:19 and 26, though, gives us a little different perspective on what he sees. He looks at the destruction of the city, and maybe we feel like that way ourselves sometimes when we see our cities. When I go through downtown Portland, I wonder whatever happened to this beautiful city that used to be there. I think that's probably the way he felt about Jerusalem. But as he looked at this, he realized that this is not just about the city and their difficulties, but this is also about God. And in this chapter, through verses 19 to 26, he takes time out from looking at destruction to focus on God. Where is he in all of this, and what can we learn about God from this? Well, one thing we can learn is that God is the God of hope. Um, Verse 19 says, remembering mine affliction and my misery, and the wormwood and the gall, my soul hath them still in remembrance, and is humbled in me. This I recall to mind, and therefore have I hope. Even though everything around him lies in a heap of ruins, and countless lives have been lost, and even though everything that he knew and loved came crashing down, he could say, I have hope. Now, really, how could Jeremiah say that? How can he be so confident that tomorrow is going to be a better day? It's only because he believed in someone greater than the circumstances around him. He had God's promises that he would help his people, that there would be a remnant, and that they would return someday. And Jeremiah could have hope just because of God. Secondly, he sees as he looks around him that actually God is a God of love. Verse 22, he says, it is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. It's only because of God's tremendous love for his people that everyone was not completely destroyed. There was a remnant. Probably every day, people were coming to Jeremiah and saying, that if I hadn't been in just the right place at the right time, I wouldn't have made it. But I was there. The Babylonians didn't see me, or someone else may say it's just amazing how God protected our family. There are families like that still there in Jerusalem because of God's love. Thirdly, he's a God of faithfulness. Jeremiah could say that. Talking about the God's mercies in verse 23, he said, they are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Little did he know that those words would be a great hymn someday. Great is thy faithfulness. But it's something that we need to see from God because it's always there. It's important. Fourthly, he's the God of salvation. Verse 26 says, it is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. And God saves us, of course, only through his Son, Jesus Christ, and what he did on the cross for us. He is the God of salvation. Remember, years ago, many years now, before I deployed to Afghanistan, we had a few days off before we left for that combat tour. Um, and my wife Dawn and I wanted to go to New York City on those few days, and so that's what we did. And at that time, we wanted to see Ground Zero. It was just a big hole at that point. Nothing had been built there. It was just a pile of rubble along with it. But in that rubble, there was a 20-foot high cross that was consisting of two metal beams that fell from the north tower of the World Trade Center. I was amazed. Somebody had put an American flag on it. I hadn't even heard about the cross before that it was there. But eventually, it was placed on a 40-foot high foundation. It's just a reminder that the cross is still our hope. He's the God of salvation. Yes, we had a work to do. We knew that. And I don't know about everybody, but a lot of us, and I was included in that category. We were just looking forward to doing something about the destruction that had been done. These people had killed over 3,000 innocent Americans, and now it's time to deal with us, and we're coming. But more important than that is to say that in even a situation like that, there's salvation, and it's only through the cross of Christ. And my friends, that's what our people need in our country today more than anything else. When we see our cities in ruins to a certain extent, our country needs the cross. Most of all, we need to come to know the God of salvation. Would you think about that today? Well, keep reading the Bible. Tomorrow our reading is in Ezekiel chapter 1 to chapter 4. Be reading there, folks. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.